There are values that cannot be measured by the speed of modern machinery, but are instead forged through time, patience, and the hands of skilled artisans. Today, RaWMachines will take you across thousands of nautical miles, from the pine forests of northern Europe to the tropical waters of Malaysia, to discover the revival journey of two fading wooden boat-building heritages, the legendary Päijänne boat and the proud Naga Pelangi. What are you waiting for? Let's dive right in. The craft of wooden boat building, a heritage trade slowly fading away, is being passionately preserved and revived by the builders and apprentices at the Jämsän Seutu Vocational School. To build a high-quality boat, one must first secure the right timber. Slow-grown, tight-grained pine is the optimal choice. However, this material is becoming increasingly scarce as modern forests are managed for rapid growth. The raw material is sourced from the Tapio Peltonen farm in Hutia. The trees are felled in late winter while still dormant, the ideal time to ensure the highest quality of the wood.
Tämä on just semmoista tavaraa, kun me saatiin tuolta Länkipuolesta, mistä me on tehtykin niitä veneitä.
After milling, the planks are cut to a thickness of about 16 to 17 millimeters, leaving extra stock for final planing, and then stacked with stickers to dry evenly, minimizing warping and splitting. After drying, the timber enters the shaping stage. The bow piece is hewn with a specialized axe to a high degree of precision, ensuring the integrity of the gains for the overlapping planks. Simultaneously, the steering oar is meticulously crafted. Although it seems like a minor detail, it plays a vital role in maneuvering the vessel. The spruce timber used for the oars must be of top quality, not free with dense, uniform grain. Following a rough layout cut with a circular saw, the oar is carefully finished to achieve the ultimate combination of lightness, sleekness, and structural durability. Next, the builder cuts the gains on the bow piece using an axe and a pocket knife, creating the small recesses to fit the hood ends of the planks later on. As the stern piece and the keel are joined together, the backbone of the boat gradually takes shape. The most critical requirement at this stage is maintaining near-perfect alignment. Even a slight twist in the centerline can cause the vessel to lose its track when in operation. To enhance the durability of the joints, the craftsman uses a highly waterproof adhesive. Beyond securing the components more tightly together, this glue is robust enough to withstand moisture, salt water, and harsh environmental conditions.
Sitten me voitaisiin sitten piirtää se kanssa. Niin.
Before the final finishing steps, the builder uses templates to mark out the design lines for the bow section. These guide marks serve to ensure absolute precision throughout the machining process. The primary focus of this stage is maintaining the perfect integrity of the gains. In wooden boat building techniques, even the smallest leftover splinter can create a gap, compromising the watertight integrity of the hull. Afterward, the surface is smoothed down with a rasp to remove any sharp edges and excess timber. Concurrently, each individual plank undergoes a rigorous inspection. High-quality timber typically features incredibly dense growth rings, measuring around just 1 millimeter per ring. In traditional boat building, many essential tools simply cannot be bought off the shelf. Chief among these are the handcrafted wood scrapers. At first glance, they may appear remarkably simple, yet they dictate the ultimate precision of the mating surfaces between the planks. This is precisely why boat building has never been a craft of haste. For a skilled artisan, a boat measuring around 5 meters can require anywhere from 75 to 80 labor hours. In a training environment, however, that figure often multiplies several times over. The ultimate goal is not merely to finish a product, but to help apprentices grasp the core ethos of the trade.
Niin saa jonkinlaisen otteen siihen uran puolella. Oikein mahdottomuus muuten auttaa.
With the primary components fully prepared, the assembly of the hull begins with the first strakes. Each plank must be carefully aligned, checking its position and straightness before being fitted into place. To make the timber easier to bend to the shape of the hull, the wood is wetted down to increase its flexibility and reduce the risk of splitting. The lap joints are then sealed using melted pine resin mixed with wool fibers.
Rouva pistelee sen siitä nyt ihan... Langan pitäisi olla... Se olisi nyt siinä ja sitten pistetään puristin. Mä kokeilen nyt sitten tämän pään taivutusta täällä. Mun tekis mieli oikeastaan tää perä laittaa kiinni, niin tehtäis sitten siellä mitä tehdään. Ja kun se menee niin hyvin. Niin.
With light but precise hammer taps and the aid of specialized clamps, the builder coaxes the hood ends into their proper position. Once the components seat perfectly, they are held fast with high-grip serrated nails. At high-load joints, copper rivets are chosen and tightly clenched to ensure long-term structural durability. From loose, separate planks, a complete hull gradually takes shape, every curve and every joint reflecting the precision and patience of the craftsman. At the Haavisto boatyard, every boat is built according to the traditional Päijänne design, 5 meters long, about 1.4 meters wide, and weighing 90 to 95 kilograms when completed. It is a sturdy type of boat with good load-bearing capacity, while also being visually elegant and easy to handle. The material cost for each boat is around 2,000 marka. With proper care, a wooden boat can last as long as 40 to 50 years. A straight, slender juniper tree is the ideal choice for crafting the ribs. Naturally, the harvesting of the timber is carried out only with the explicit permission of the forest owner. To complete a single boat, approximately 17 sets of ribs are required. The wood is then machined into standardized strips, measuring roughly 3.5 centimeters in width and nearly 2 centimeters in thickness. Next, the wooden strips are placed inside a steam box for about an hour and a half. Thanks to this process, the timber becomes highly pliable and can be easily bent by hand. Once the desired shape is achieved over the templates, the builder ties and secures the ribs so the wood can cool down and lock in its design profile. The final result reveals a set of framing ribs finished to absolute precision. Once the ribs have locked into their proper shape, they are installed into the hull using serrated nails and clenched tightly at the plank laps. The bending of the gunnels is also carried out with great care, often prioritizing fresh, green pine to achieve better flexibility. Inside the hull, the interior fittings gradually come together, including the floor runners, oarlocks, brackets, and thwarts. Interspersed between the hours of labor are coffee breaks and light-hearted conversations, a very familiar and cherished part of workshop culture. With the final details put in place and the bow section cleaned up, the boat is virtually complete, both in form and function. Professional rivalry exists in this craft as well. A master craftsman is rarely comfortable openly praising another's workmanship. The most generous compliment they typically offer is simply, "At least it's made from good material." The traditional protective coating for the boat is pine tar, a natural preservative derived from pine, valued for its durability, appearance, and distinctive pleasant aroma. A newly built boat usually requires around 5 to 6 liters of pine tar for surface treatment. After months of crafting, the day finally arrives for the boat to be launched. The ribs that were steam bent back in the winter, along with the completed interior fittings, are now all set for the maiden trial. The sails are hoisted, the vessel's handling is put to the test, and the trial crew perfectly embodies the spirit of the craft. The youth bring their strength, the elders offer their seasoned knowledge of materials, and shared laughter helps wash away the pressure of long hours of labor. The moment the hull touches the water is far more than just a final technical inspection. It is the ultimate connection between the builder, the timber, the ancient craft heritage, and the culmination of dozens of hours of dedicated handwork. Next, join me as we take a look at another boat building project in Malaysia. Malaysia has a profound connection with the sea, and Duyong Island, nestled at the mouth of the Terengganu River, is regarded as one of the last remaining sanctuaries preserving the traditional Malay boat-building craft. There was a time when these intricately carved vessels played an essential role in both the daily lives and the maritime trade of the local community. However, through the passage of time, this age-old handicraft has been gradually fading away. Driven by a desire to preserve these invaluable skills, the local community initiated the Naga Pelangi project in 2003. The project aims to revive the heritage of Malay boat building by reconstructing a full-sized vessel using strictly traditional methods. The construction process begins with Chengal wood. Growing in ancient tropical rainforests, Chengal is renowned for its resistance to termites, exceptional hardness, and remarkable durability. It is no surprise that generations of Malay shipbuilders have chosen this timber for ocean-going vessels. Even so, Chengal is a challenging material. Once dried, the wood becomes nearly impossible to bend, so the planks must be cut while the timber is still green and then left to air dry naturally for about a year before use. Once the material meets the required standards, the hull assembly begins. The keel is laid first, followed by the bow post and stern post. All components are secured with large bronze bolts, the first structural elements forming the foundation for the rebirth of Naga Pelangi. The first plank, the bottom lining plank, is being prepared. This is an extremely important component because it defines the lines of the entire hull. Following traditional methods, the wood is heated directly over fire to increase its flexibility, then gradually bent along the shape that the craftsmen have already envisioned in their minds. As the temperature drops, the plank retains its new form as though it had always belonged there. After the bending stage, the planks are temporarily secured with screw clamps. The craftsmen then continue marking the keel bevel edges, locating the fastening dowels, drilling holes, and repeatedly hand-planing and adjusting until every surface fits together perfectly. One of the most distinctive features of traditional Malay shipbuilding is the limited use of metal in the structure. Instead, builders rely on pasak, wooden dowels crafted from panaga, a reddish ironwood renowned for its exceptional hardness and density. Around 100 wooden dowels are driven along the keel, and every hole in the planking must align with them with near-perfect accuracy. The material is so hard that tools frequently need to be resharpened throughout the process. Working alongside the pasak system is the traditional caulking technique using kulit galam, bark from the melaleuca tree, used as a waterproofing layer between planks. While Western methods employ cotton, oakum, or mastic, Malay builders thread strips of bark through the wooden dowels, creating a thin cushion of roughly 1 to 2 millimeters between the joints. The solution is both simple and remarkably effective. It allows the hull to expand and contract naturally with changing climatic conditions while maintaining durable waterproofing through many years of service at sea. At the center of the hull, 2 temporary wooden frames are erected, revealing the vessel's overall form. But what truly stands out is the assembly sequence. While European methods typically build the frame first and add the planking afterward, the Malay approach follows the exact opposite path. The hull shell is shaped first, and the framing system is only added later. This reverse framing technique not only reflects a technological difference, but also expresses a distinct Malay philosophy of boat building, one in which inherited craftsmanship holds a role no less important than any technical blueprint. A support frame is erected to position the crucibles for casting the ballast keel. For typical cargo ships, the cargo itself acts as ballast, making external ballasting unnecessary. However, because the Perahu Besar is designed for tourism and leisure, most of the ballast is moved outside the hull to optimize interior space. This solution also offers a distinct stability advantage. Lowering the vessel's center of gravity increases its righting moment against the lateral pressure exerted by the sails. The lead ballast block is secured using copper bolts precast into the structure. Once the mold and pouring spouts are fully assembled, the lead bricks are melted down, the valves open, and the molten metal floods the mold. The end result is a solid ballast keel with a total weight reaching up to 10 tons. As the overall silhouette of the ship becomes clear, the finishing of the outer hull begins. The Hellas rub rails are fitted to provide impact protection while establishing the distinctive, sweeping lines of the hull. Inside, the framing system continues to be integrated and built up alongside the subsequent layers of planking. To reinforce the entire structure, approximately 15,000 silicon bronze screws are utilized. These screws are countersunk into the timber, then plugged with wooden bungs and epoxy mastic to safeguard the fasteners against moisture while keeping the ship's surface clean and seamless. After nearly a year of continuous labor, the hull framing and the final longitudinal stringers are at last complete. This marks the beginning of the stern tube installation, the component responsible for transferring power to the propeller. The shipwright must pinpoint the exact alignment for the stern tube, then bore a long, straight hole directly through the stern post. This task allows virtually no margin for error, as even a minor misalignment could compromise the vessel's entire propulsion efficiency later on. Once all the mechanical components are properly seated, the bolts and connection points are coated with a protective green anti-corrosion paint to withstand the harsh marine environment. From a massive wooden skeleton, the vessel now truly begins to take on the definitive shape of a seaworthy machine. Now, the craftsman begins carving the figurehead for the bow, traditionally a goyle or gable figure, representing the Naga, a half-dragon, half-serpent creature that historically served as a guardian deity in Malay maritime culture. Over time, this symbol has evolved. Under the influence of Islamic culture, the intricate mythological carvings were gradually simplified into subtle, stylized lines, yet they retain their full symbolic significance. From selecting the timber and aligning its position to shaping, sanding, and applying the primer coat, every single step helps finalize the face of the vessel, where technical craftsmanship, ancient beliefs, and Malay seafaring identity converge upon a single block of wood. As the hull nears completion, the interior spaces begin to take shape. The wheelhouse is installed, bulkheads are erected, and the cabins are finished with handcrafted solid wood details. In tandem with this, work progresses on the deck treatment. The surface is sealed with waterproof epoxy and coated with protective paint before the final timber decking strips are laid over it. Living amenities, including skylights, a spiral staircase, and a central cabin configured with single and double berths, are also gradually completed. After years of meticulous crafting, the defining moment finally arrives, moving the vessel out of the shipyard and into the river. In the past, this monumental task would have relied on the collective strength of the entire fishing community. However, for this project, heavy machinery is mobilized to assist in moving the massive structure with greater safety and precision. The ship is positioned onto a system of launchways, with round logs placed underneath to act as traditional rollers. Bit by bit, it is winched down toward the riverbank in a manner that seamlessly blends modern execution with echoes of ancient techniques. Yet, even upon reaching the water's edge, the vessel must wait. The precise moment of launching depends entirely on the spring tide, when the water level rises high enough to safely float the hull into the previously dredged channel. In the seafaring trade, nature always retains the final word. After 3 years of painstaking craftsmanship, the Naga Pelangi is finally launched, a milestone marking the triumphant success of a dedicated revival effort. With the launch successfully executed, the slipway cradles are dismantled, and the vessel is towed into deeper waters to undergo further outfitting. The next critical phase is the stepping of the masts, the components that will bestow upon the ship its true identity as a traditional Malay sailing vessel. The iconic red traditional sails are hoisted, striking a bold silhouette against the sky and water. It is an image that was once common across local waters, yet had been entirely absent for decades. Now, those sails catch the wind once again aboard the Naga Pelangi. The ship is not only ready to embark on new voyages, but has transformed into a living symbol for the resurgence of a centuries-old maritime heritage, where ancient techniques, cultural memories, and the enduring spirit of Malay seafarers are once again carried out to the open sea. And so, we have come to the end of a long journey, from the frozen forests of northern Europe to the tropical waters of Malaysia, from raw timber standing in the wild to the definitive moment a ship is finally launched to catch the wind and set sail. Though born from two vastly different cultures, these vessels share a single, unifying spirit, a profound belief in craftsmanship. A great ship does not begin at the finishing stage. It starts with selecting the right tree, understanding the unique characteristics of the material, patiently bending every single plank, sealing every joint, and accepting that even a minor flaw can compromise the entire vessel. This is the kind of knowledge that cannot be easily transmitted through technical blueprints or textbooks alone. It is forged through experience, through keen observation, and through thousands of hours of labor, alongside master shipwrights who have dedicated their entire lives to the craft. Yet, this narrative is about more than just shipbuilding techniques. It is a story of preservation. In a world increasingly dominated by industrial materials and modern mass production, the art of wooden boat building is shrinking. These ancient skills, whether in Northern Europe or Malaysia, face the exact same challenge, the risk of fading away over time. Because of this, initiatives like the Jämsän Seutu Vocational School Project or the Naga Pelangi Project carry a meaning far greater than simply constructing a new vessel. They represent an effort to preserve an ancient ecosystem of knowledge, where technique, history, culture, and community identity are completely intertwined. And then, after all those years of meticulous labor, there is always one extraordinary moment when the ship first floats on the water. Whether it is a Päijänne boat on a Nordic lake or the Naga Pelangi with its iconic red Malay sails, what is truly launched onto the water is not merely a finished product. It is history continuing to live. It is the pride of the craftsman. And it stands as living proof that, in a world growing faster and more uniform by the day, there are still values deeply worth preserving, with skill, with memory, and with the human hand. Thank you for listening to the end of our story. If you love videos like this, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our upcoming stories. RaWMachines says goodbye, and see you next time.